Good morning, everybody. Mike's MMA Picks here with a quick card breakdown for UFC Fight Night 140 in Argentina. We've got Neil Magny taking on Ponzinibbio from a few different perspectives. There are some landmines out there. We got to be careful. A lot of variants on this card from almost top to bottom. We've got a lot of younger fighters who'll be taking some big risks in here, and a lot of line movement as well. So we could kick things off in the featherweight division. We have Nad Narimani, who's priced at 9,100 from a Draftkings perspective, taking on Anderson Dos Santos. Anderson Dos Santos comes in with a 20-6 record, striker. He's a 135er on short notice. He'll be taking on Narimani, who is actually earlier this year scheduled to face Nasrat Haqparast at 155. So I suspect we'll see a significant size difference or a strength difference in the grappling exchanges. Our friend Narimani is well-rounded. In his last UFC fight, he took the fight to the ground numerous times. I suspect he'll do the same here. Safest play on the card, 9,100. Question is he going to pay off that price tag from a DraftKings perspective? Anderson Dos Santos, like I mentioned before, loves to strike, willing to take risks, has a number of submission losses. So just take that into consideration when you're rostering your fighters. Next up in the lightweight division, we have Devin Powell. Hate to say this, but I liken him to a human punching bag out there. 9-3, 30 years old, plus 185 underdog, taking on Jesus Pinedo. This is a fight that we're dealing with a 22-year-old youngster who is going to be coming in here all hyped up. I suspect we're going to see some scrambles. Powell's tough to get out of there. So this is a fight I recommend targeting from a DraftKings perspective, but you want to be careful because this is one of those high variance fights. You can't depend on someone absorbing a tremendous amount of damage to come back, and we'll talk later on in the card about one of those fighters, Darren Elkins, who takes a lot of damage. It's hard to depend on fighters to survive and then overcome adversity and pour it on in the second half of fights. So this fight, I honestly have no idea who's going to win this fight, but I plan on splitting my shares. Pinedo, I'll have a little significant higher percentage of my shares with Pinedo. Next up, we have in the welterweight division, Laureano Staropoli, who's 25 years old with a 7-1 record. He's a plus 105 underdog, taking on Hector Aldana. Aldana looked great in his last UFC fight until he got knocked out. Aldana, 30 years old. The odds have, as we've seen, have dropped significantly in his favor. For $8,000 on DraftKings, I think he's a solid play. I've noticed the odds have changed a little bit so that it's pretty much a pick'em now. But Staropoli, you may want to take a chance on him. This is one of those fights where these guys, there shouldn't be any feeling out process. These guys should be going balls to the wall right when the opening bell gets rung. Next up, We have Humberto Bandone at featherweight taking on Austin Arnett. Both of these guys have similar records. Bandone is 24 years old. He actually looked good in his last fight against Gabriel Benitez. Although when he applied the submission, he got slammed and then KO'd. And he's taking on Austin Arnett, who is a very desperate fighter with a 15-5 record. Austin Arnett throws punches and bunches, will look to close distance. Bandone may want to take this fight to the ground where Arnett has some difficulty. Bandone for 8,900. I think he's going to be sneaky because a lot of people are going to gravitate towards Narimani and also Ponzinibbio at 9,000. So you may want to play Bandone in GPP formats. But it's tough to pick underdogs between the 6,900 and 7,500 price range. Arnett, though, he may survive and put up some points. So think about it. Next up in the flyweight division, soon to be dissolved flyweight division, we have Alexander Pantoja against Ulka Sasaki. I played Justin Scoggins when he fought Sasaki, and I thought Scoggins had it in the bag. And this guy Sasaki, he's a tough out at 6,900. If he hangs around in the fight, he could do some damage as far as grappling goes. Plus 275 underdog. Sasaki, 29 years old, training out of Saralongo. Problem is, Pantoja has the whole package here. We saw how he dismantled Moreno on the feet, and also very well-rounded, minus 305 favorite, 28 years old, 19-3 record. Pantoja, very active fighter also. I think that's going to be helpful when we consider that this fight may last a while. So for $9,300, that's a high price to pay. I'm not sure folks are going to be going that high because there's so many great options in the mid range today. But Pantoja is a safe play. I think Narimani's the safest play on the card, though. Next fight, we've got Fabinski against Prazeres. This is something I've been looking forward to since it was announced. Prazeres, at one point, he was a minus 400 favorite. The line has closed significantly to the point where Michel Prazeres is now a minus 130 favorite. This guy, Prazeres, all he does is win, 25-2. He's amazing. Watching the way he's able to just weasel victories away from all of his opponents. I thought Des Green had a real shot at handing Prazeres an L, but it just wasn't in the cards. Prazeres just too big, too strong. And then when he fought Zach Cummins, same thing happened. He out-grappled Cummins, and then also he outstruck him as well. So Prazeres has the better jiu-jitsu, as we know. He also that low center of gravity is going to be helpful. But Fabinski, one thing you can get out of him is a grade A effort. He's going to empty his gas tank, and he's definitely the bigger guy. Coming down from middleweight at one point. Fabinski's also a winner, 14-2. At 7,600, he might be the highest owned underdog on the card. But I am looking forward to this fight, and I actually, I want to see Prazeres lose, but I do realize that you can never count him out. He's the weasel of all weasels. So I'm going to pick Fabinski, though, in this fight. Okay. Next up, we have Cynthia Calvillo against Poliana Botello. Botello, as we saw during the weigh-ins, looked like she had a great weight cut, and that she is ready to counts, is depleted, but we've heard from numerous sources that she had her period, and also that she did have a tough time on the scales. Calvillo is coming off of a year-long layoff due to a USADA suspension. She's a great grappler. Her striking leaves a lot to be desired. This fight, I expect a lot of sharps to be on Calvillo, at least from a DraftKings perspective, considering she has the grappling prowess, and Botello looks so fluid on her feet. She's a phenomenal striker, and Nova Nyao, I believe, has coached her up to the point where she is going to be ready for Calvillo. The question I have is, when she's closing the distance, is she able to? Is she going to be able to hurt Calvillo? That's something that I want to find out. But Botello is going to be the more active fighter as far as striking goes, and this fight, if you want my honest opinion, I think Calvillo has plateaued. She's 31 years old. I think she's in trouble this fight. I have a feeling Botello in the latter rounds is going to come out and show us what she's made of. And I wouldn't hate on stacking this fight. I think we're going to see some transitions. We're going to see a lot of strikes, at least on Botello's side, and it's a close fight, So you want to be on the winning side here. So that's going to be a good one to look forward to. Next up, we got Guido Canetti, priced at $7,000 against Marlon Vera, 9,200, second highest price tag on the card. Vera -290 favorite. Canetti has seen a resurgence in his career after coming back from a PED suspension. Marlon Vera, I believe, gets the job done today. I mean, that's not going out on a limb here, but it's just a matter of when. I think we'll see him in the second or third round get a TKO victory, or you know what? There is the option for a submission. I was at the fight when he submitted Brian Kelleher, and I could see something similar happening here. Canetti usually runs out of gas in the latter rounds. Although in his last fight against Rivas, he had some extra gas in that tank, and he may for this one. So if you're thinking about punting, 7,000 Canetti, he may hang in there for a while. That frees up some salary to get some other guys at the top range. But I am going to go with Marlon Vera here. Next up, we have in the middleweight division, Khalil Roundtree against Johnny Walker. A lot of people are on Roundtree. I understand that. When you watch tape on Walker, he moves around pretty fluidly for a big guy. Has accurate strikes. This is a fairly close lined fight. Walker is a +160 underdog. Walker is for $7,400 and a respective $8,800 on Roundtree. This fight is expected to finish. Remember, Khalil Roundtree at one point was over 300 pounds and decided to get into MMA training to lose weight, and found this tremendous knack for knocking folks out at an older age. Johnny Walker, he's a live dog here. I'm not going to totally count him out. I don't know how people can have faith in Roundtree after his previous performances. The Gokhan Saki fight, I understand someone was going to get knocked out in that fight, and I suspect someone's getting knocked out in this fight. It's just a matter of when and who's going to get the job done. But I am splitting shares in this fight, and Roundtree does appear as the more accurate striker, and he comes from a U.S. base camp, so I'm going to roll with him. Next up, co-main event of the evening, we have a great fight between Ricardo Lamas and Darren Elkins. Darren Elkins priced at $7,500. I expect to see a lot of ownership on Elkins. He's a total fade for me. I think the damage that he sustained over the past few years and in the training room that we don't get to see is going to catch up to him at some point. I like what I've heard with Ricardo Lamas and his interviews, and I also I liked his effort against Mirsad Bektic. I think that the Josh Emmett fight, we didn't learn a lot from that fight. He got caught. I don't believe that Elkins possesses that type of power. I was at an Elkins fight when he took on Dennis Bermudez, and I was a little shocked at how Elkins was able to get the better of the grappling exchanges. And we knew he wasn't going away in that fight, but from a DraftKings perspective, this is a dangerous fight. If Elkins starts to hang on Lamas, that should stifle a lot of the offense that happens. And Elkins likes to just hold position for minutes at a time. So even in the Skelly fight and other fights, I would tread with caution here. I am willing to take a stand, though, on Lamas. He's the more accurate striker. He's got great jiu-jitsu. He's got his head screwed on straight. The line has closed significantly to the point where Lamas is now a -170 favorite. So I'll be playing Lamas here, but I just feel like Elkins has relied on taking damage for so long that it should catch up to him, and I think this is going to be the fight that it happens. But I may be wrong. We'll see. We'll see. And then main event of the evening at welterweight, we have Neil Magny against Santiago Ponzinibbio. This is another line that's been closing. Ponzinibbio can be had for -215. Neil Magny for +195. Ponzinibbio, probably the highest owned fighter on the card at 9,000. He has a number of ways that he can finish the job here. I respect Neil Magny for $7,200. He may hang on for a while, but if Ponzinibbio is smart about this, he's got to get Magny out of there early. He's got to take advantage of the crowd that's going to be on his side. He has to take advantage of the fact that Neil Magny is typically a slow starter, and I believe this fight is going to end within the distance. It's just a matter of when. I think Ponzinibbio is going to get this done in the second round. If for some reason Ponzinibbio under the lights has a difficult time disposing of Magny, then we've got a real problem on our hands because we know Magny doesn't go away. And he does have some solid jiu-jitsu himself as well as wrestling. And he trains at elevation. So there are some concerns, but Ponzinibbio is the much heavier striker, much more accurate striker, and he is not afraid to close the distance. And also, he's another fighter that you can count on weaseling to get the job done. So if that needs to happen, that's just some extra security that he's going to get the job done. So I'll be picking Ponzinibbio here, and there you have it. We've rolled through the 12 fights. in 20 minutes. I think that's incredibly fast. But if you have any questions, you can hit me up on Twitter at MikesMMAPicks. I am also tracked at betmma.tips as well as CapperTech. And I've been on a card skip, have a few plays up, and I look forward to seeing you when rosters and lineups lock. Draftkings in the lobby. We've got some head-to-heads out there as well as a number of great contests. So enjoy the card, everyone, and we'll see you for UFC China.